This episode is part 1 of 4, where I will be breaking down, expanding, and contextualizing each stage of my HALT theory, which I've referenced in past episodes as a pain pyramid. The Grand Rising experience exists to help you transform your pain into power and purpose, and HALT is how I've been guided to navigate this terrain with you. Now, if you want a little background on HALT, what it means and why I use it, I provide a more in-depth explanation in the episode Honesty, Acceptance, Loyalty, and Trust, which was originally released on September 22nd, 2023. But today, we are going to start at the very beginning with honesty, specifically self-honesty. My goal is to bring you bite-sized and digestible overviews that will inspire you to get curious, begin to honestly self-evaluate, and then take inspired action towards claiming your sovereign wealth. These episodes are also laying the framework for all future episodes, the guests I will be introducing you to, and projects I am launching. But before we get into it, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Grand Rising Experience wherever you are listening. Give it a 5-star rating and leave me a review. And you can also click on the Ask Me Anything link in the show notes to leave a comment or question about anything you've heard in this episode. As always, thank you so much for being here. Let's dive in. Cultivating self-honesty serves as a crucial gateway to self-awareness, self-accountability, and self-responsibility, which is why it forms the foundation of the HALT pyramid, and why, in my experience, accessing prolonged states of acceptance, loyalty, and trust, both inside and outside of self, are near impossible in its absence. These 3 concepts, self-awareness, self-accountability, and self-responsibility, are intertwined and interdependent, and practicing radical self-honesty can help you develop and strengthen each of them. I'm going to do an overview of these concepts and provide you with a reflective question that's designed to help ignite and activate your curiosity. And whether you are years into your journey or just starting, fundamentals, when revisited with a beginner's mind, have a funny way of revealing new truths. So we're going to start at the beginning with self-awareness. Self-honesty begins with self-awareness. It's the foundation upon which you build responsibility and accountability. When you're radically honest with yourself, you are constantly examining your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. And this self-examination allows you to gain a deeper understanding of who you are, what drives you, and what your strengths and weaknesses are. It's about getting curious about your values, beliefs, and motivations, and how they are currently manifesting in your life. Without self-awareness, it's incredibly challenging to take the next steps towards self-accountability and self-responsibility. Aspects of self-awareness include, but are not limited to, exploring emotions, recognizing patterns and habits, and overall improved communication. Can you acknowledge not only that you possess a range of feelings, but also begin to observe what emotions are driving your behaviors, whether positive or negative, and do so without judgment? And when the judgments and criticisms begin to arise, and they will, can you observe, not absorb them, so you can begin to map their origin story and to treat the source instead of the symptom? You can't heal and shift what you cannot see. Self-honesty helps you to identify recurring patterns of behavior and habits in your life, patterns that are closely linked to how you emotionally respond to your thoughts, environments, and perceived strengths and weaknesses. And it's important to note that these patterns may be helpful or harmful, but awareness of their existence is crucial for developing the self-awareness that fosters growth. You can't unsee or unfeel something once it's been recognized, and compassionate curiosity can go a long way in beginning to unravel how you came to be. Self-honesty is also a gateway to enhancing your verbal and nonverbal communication skills by making you more aware of your communication style and its impact on not only yourself, but also others. Self-honesty is a gateway to enhancing your verbal and nonverbal communication skills by making you aware of your communication style and its impact, not only on others, but also with yourself. When you honestly observe and evaluate your communication habits, you will become aware of how it affects the response that you receive. This applies not only to interpersonal communication, but how you speak to yourself, because how you speak to yourself is ultimately how you speak to the world, and the physiological response that gets triggered in the midst of communication is an incredibly useful roadmap into navigating your emotions, habits, and patterns. To pull together this overview on self-awareness, can you reflect on a situation where you experienced either a strong emotional or physical reaction? And I want you to get really curious about what emotions you felt and experienced, and try to observe them without judgment. Or if there are judgments, which inevitably there are, can you name them and get curious about where they come from? How did your communication style in that moment impact the situation and your emotional or physical response? Can you identify any recurring patterns or habits in your mental, emotional, and physical response? And what is your earliest memory of feeling this way? Next comes self-responsibility, which goes hand in hand with self-accountability, but still feels like it comes first. Self-responsibility allows you to connect the dots and see the direct link between your choices and their outcomes, and begin to recognize that you have the power to shape your reality with every decision you make, be it conscious or unconscious. It's the space where you begin to embody the idea that you are the creator of your reality, and now you get to observe if your choices truly reflect and align with your values and goals. Self-responsibility appears in how you take responsibility for your actions and the aligned action that follows, and how you resolve conflicts. When you are radically honest with yourself, without denial or justification, you become more aware of your actions and their consequences. And this heightened awareness is the first step towards taking responsibility for your actions, because you can't claim or take charge of anything you're not aware of. This is where internal power dynamics begin to shift from feeling like a victim of circumstance to mastering your destiny through aligned action. The result is improved decision making, which begins when you can evaluate your actions objectively. By honestly assessing your motivations, values, and desires, you will naturally begin to make choices that align with your values and goals, which ultimately start to reveal the aspects of your true self. When you become aware of your true intentions and values, it begins to lead to more conscious and responsible decision making, because at this point, you're less likely to run on autopilot and make impulsive or harmful choices that are in opposition to your intention and values. This is the space where you get to decide if you actually are who you claim to be, which means when you find yourself in conflict, which we all inevitably do, you can begin to detach and address the issues honestly from the inside out. Observe what this conflict is here to teach you. Start finding creative ways to work towards a solution, and begin to take aligned action to heal the parts of self that are getting triggered or activated. Self-responsibility takes the place of blame and excuses and allows you to start stepping into self-forgiveness, specifically when you can acknowledge your role in the conflict you find yourself in. So here's where I invite you to reflect on a recent or past situation where you faced a challenge or a conflict. how did your level of self-responsibility in that moment impact the outcome? Were you able to take an honest and accountable approach, or did you find yourself making excuses, avoiding responsibility, and blaming everyone and everything around you? Consider how a greater sense of self-responsibility may have influenced your choices and ultimately the resolution within that challenge. And if you find yourself in a similar situation in the future, how can you apply these lessons to alter those outcomes? So this brings us to the third and final concept for this episode, self-accountability. Self-accountability is self-responsibility in motion. It is the practice of taking responsibility for your actions, choices, and their consequences. Radical self-honesty plays a central role in this process because as you become aware of how you're showing up in the world and choose to take responsibility for it, it becomes increasingly difficult to shift blame, make excuses, or not claim the fullness of your successes and achievements. Instead, you begin to acknowledge your role in the outcomes of your actions, good or bad. You can now hold yourself accountable to your choices and commit to making amends or compounding on success as necessary. This is where acceptance of whatever you are not changing, you are choosing, starts to materialize. We become accountable to self by setting realistic goals, choosing learning and growth, and valuing consistency and integrity. Being truthful about your abilities and limitations allows you to set achievable goals, which is crucial for building self-loyalty and trust. Unrealistic expectations can lead to frustration and lack of accountability, which fuels self-betrayal. Self-honesty helps you to create attainable objectives that you can work towards while also laying the foundation for self-validation. Because when you can acknowledge your current state of being, you create opportunities for personal growth. Self-honesty allows you to identify areas where you need to improve and take action to develop skills or traits. And this commitment to growth is a fundamental aspect of self-accountability. This is where your actions start to come into alignment with your values and beliefs. It helps you make decisions that are in line with your principles, which in turn strengthens your level of awareness, responsibility, and accountability. Consistency in your actions and adherence to your values is how you build trust both in yourself and with others. My final invitation is for you to reflect on a time when you practice self-accountability by setting realistic goals. How did this experience impact your ability to learn and show up for yourself consistently? What growth did you experience, and how did that increase your sense of responsibility and self-awareness? At the end of the day, honesty is about looking in the mirror and taking inventory of what is being reflected back. It's not about them or they, it's about you. How are you growing or not growing? Are you developing or remaining stagnant? Are you choosing to dwell in victimhood or move towards self-mastery? Self-deception offers many things, but liberation and freedom, it does not. Self-honesty is the foundation upon which self-acceptance is built. Self-acceptance cannot exist without self-honesty, because acknowledging and embracing your true self requires an honest assessment of your strengths, weaknesses, and vulnerabilities. You must first recognize, confront, and embrace who you are and how you came to be if you want to change it. Anything short of that is symptom management. Patterns and habits will repeat, and self-loyalty and trust will be incredibly difficult to secure. In the next episode, we will continue to climb the HALT pyramid and explore self-acceptance. And we do this all in pursuit of securing the self-trust that has the power to revolutionize the world as we know it. I hope you found this episode helpful, and if you did, please share it, and click on the Ask Me Anything link in the show notes to talk about your relationship with honesty and expand on what was discussed. Until then, thank you so much for being here. I love you.